So we're putting the garden to bed for a year, and I thought long and hard about how I wanted to do this, and I want to treat it as if I'm starting fresh, as if it was like the year we first got here.
Oh, when we first moved in?
Yep, and we laid down cardboard and got our garden beds ready. And I had debated on whether or not to plant a cover crop. And I'll tell you guys ultimately why I decided against that.
We spent a couple hours out here last night cleaning up the rest of the garden. Basically, at this point in time, even though some of these beds look like they have green in them still, it's not. It's basically the plants harvested, cut off, and thrown on top to act as like a mulch over the winter to help add some organic matter back to the beds. The only thing growing still is celery and loofahs. And our loofahs look amazing. So Rachel's working on getting the cardboard laid out. Once we get that pretty close to being done, we're gonna head over to where the goats were. We're gonna pull the roof off of their shelter, hopefully pick up their shelter, move it, harvest all of that compost and barn clean out from underneath, and that's what's going to go on a lot of these beds. So
even when I lived at my suburban home, when I very first started my garden, I followed very strictly Bell Bartholomew's Guide to Square Foot Gardening. And one of his recommendations is when you lay down your raised beds, just cut your grass down and then lay a layer of cardboard on top. You water that in good, then you lay your soil amendments on. And so that's my methodology anytime and I had great success with it. So ever since then, that's my methodology when I start a new garden bed, is to either lay something like this, cardboard down, or a super thick layer of straw down, something that will act as a weed barrier, kill off the grass. And then I will either plant directly in that as it breaks down over the year, or I will come back and do something on top of it. So that's the plan for at least these 2 beds that we mowed last night, is get this cardboard down and treat it as if I'm starting a fresh new garden space. I think a lot of you are probably new here since we last cleaned out the barn clean out from the goats and used it in the garden. I would say at least 50,000 of you are probably new since we last did that.
Did we not even do it last year?
We didn't. Mm-mm.
In the spring, we didn't do it this year.
No, we didn't.
It's our first time doing it in the fall.
Right. So the goats are no longer on farm, and we can officially take down the shelter and use the barn clean out as some of the top dressing for putting a big blanket on the garden. We'll see how far it goes. It should go a lot. I mean, it's probably really broken down because it's 2 full years almost of clean out in here. So it's a big job, but we have the big Kubota to help us with it.
It should go smooth. I think the only thing that I'm worried about is getting the roof off.
Getting the roof off, okay.
So let's get that done first and then go from there.
Okay, sounds good.
We did just recently have an issue with this goat fort or goat pen, goat house, shelter, whatever you want to call it. We had a storm come through right about a month ago or so, and we had like 70, 80 mile an hour wind gusts that picked up from like 0 to that fast in a matter of like 5 minutes. Completely picked up the entire shelter, ripped the roof off, folded the entire dog kennel underneath into a pile, and put it way over there on the other side of the paddock. So I was able to kind of piece it back together for the most part, and it served its purpose now.
This is where I need to be like a little taller, I think.
A little taller. Yeah, the roof is in 2 pieces to make it lighter. And a lot of you A lot of you commented, you said prayers for me for my back because I injured my back recently. That's the only reason I'm hesitant about this, but I think I'm getting a little bit better. I think the last time I went to a different chiropractor. They identified exactly where things were wrong, and I think it's kind of in the right place now.
Yeah.
I got to go back and see him again tomorrow, so I think we got it.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, really.
Well, we're lifting up and not pulling, so hopefully that. Never know. Maybe it'll just.
All right, let's just try it.
Okay. Oh, hold on, let me set it on my chest. Okay. Ready? Okay. Hold on, one second. Well, I might have did a boo-boo by not harvesting this last year. This is kind of what's in, like it just broke out of the pallet. So it's just composted sawdust. But if you dig, oh look, I found something. If you dig down.
There comes a mouse.
Oh, hi Mousy. Oh my gosh. If you dig way down, it is absolutely beautiful breaking down matter. So it's gonna make like for wonderful, I mean, it's tons of goat poop, goat urine with pine shavings. And I've used it on my garden many times before. I just now regretting not harvesting it last year. So we'll see how much we get out. It might not be as much as I was hoping to cover all the garden's beds this year, but we'll see what we get. No introducing creeping Charlie.
That stuff sucks. Like this side over here that we did, me and Nick put all that wood chips down and all that cardboard, and it just, that stuff grows right through it.
Or over it.
Over it, yeah. This is the last load of wood chips and poop.
Yep, and then we did not have enough. I mean, we like literally, what is that, 2 square feet that I won't have enough to cover from. We got that bed done, this bed done. I didn't have enough cardboard to finish this one. I think my plan is, like, with my raised beds, let me come up to you. With my raised beds, I kind of just laid all the stuff, whether it's pepper plants, beet green tops, sweet potato leaves, spinach leaves, all that stuff. I just laid on top. And I had hoped that I was going to have enough barn clean out to do everything.
Oh, all of them too?
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't considered that it was going to compost in place where it was so well. And we have sandy soil here, and a lot of people talk about or have commented how my raised beds aren't full. And I will load those suckers up, and our earth just eats all that goodness. The worms take it down, and it's just so porous that it's so easy to lose all the nutrients you're adding to try to build up your soil. But I think my plan is get grass clippings and leaves as best I can, even though I think that that's what introduced so much grass in my garden to begin with. And then
we've done it before in the past, and it didn't.
I know. And possibly
we just have to be careful of where we do that.
Yeah. Possibly, though, get even more leaves so the leaves act like more of a barrier on top. And as I get more cardboard in from shipments in the mail, I'll cardboard the on top of the raised beds and continue, like even next year when we're not gardening. And I know somebody's going to watch this for the first time and say, why aren't you gardening next year? So we're going to link to that video on why we're resting the land. It'll be our 7th year here. We're just resting the garden. And even next year, I can come in as spring grass clipping and adding to it. Yep. Okay. And that'll be the plan. Really just feeding this garden space as much as I can over the next year.
So did you
did
you address and tell them why you're not doing cover crops?
No, I didn't. So why am I not doing cover crops? Well, the whole intent is to give the land a break from growing. And I know that cover crops are good for feeding your soil, nitrogen fixers and things like that. But if I do that, it won't be until fall next year when I'm prepping the ground to grow again. Right now, we are literally resting the ground. I'm not prepping it to grow again. I just want it to rest. So that's my reason why. But I do have all the seed. So I know I had thought that I bought the seed in my gardener because I would do that. And I was like, is that kind of defeating the purpose of resting the land? So I felt like it was. And it's just my own rationale, nothing behind it, just my own thought process to it. But this is goodbye to the garden, guys. I will bring you out here next year as I continue to work on building up the garden soil, conditioning it, making sure that it's getting, enough compost and enough amendments so it's ready to go again.
There was a few comments I've seen from people recently that, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss you guys next year. We aren't leaving. We aren't going to stop making YouTube videos next year just because we're not gardening. There's a whole lot of things that go into making a homestead than just a garden. So those are some of the things that next year we'll focus on. Some infrastructure work we want to do around here. We still need to eat. Yes, we'll have lots of cooking from the pantry videos, and I will still need to come out here and make sure my garden is getting the rest that it deserves and weeds aren't taking over and things like that. You talked about focusing maybe a little bit more on some of your flower gardens? Yep, I need to, I kind of had to ignore my flower gardens this year, so maybe I can extend those and continue to wrap around the garden like I originally planned and didn't have time to. So we have lots of things to do. I'm hoping to do more tea gardening, like actually harvesting the natural things around the property for teas. We're not going anywhere. Lots of content churning in our heads of what we have to offer, and hopefully you guys will stick around for it. And I will be sharing with you what I'm observing and what I'm learning from resting the
resting our land for the first time. So thanks for your help tonight.
You're welcome.
I know your back doesn't feel great. Hopefully we didn't overextend you too
No,
bad.
I think I'm okay.
Okay.
I think I did more yesterday than today.
Oh, okay. All right. Talk to you guys later, and happy growing, gardening, and preserving where you are.
See you guys.